Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. No doubt getting excited for the tennis, for the football. But before we come to all that excitement, let us just learn something meaningful, timely concepts that are going to transform our lives. Firstly, good morning, Martin, Rachel, Peter, Michael, Mervyn, David, Stan, Estelle, Caroline, Carol, and Estelle. Is it working? Is what working, Estelle? What do you want to work? I'm working as hard as I can. I'm trying to work. Many feel I'm not working, but I'm trying. Okay. So, friends, I apologize. As you can see, I'm on the run, so I am not at my usual desk. I don't have the list of names, but we will dedicate the learning to all those that have passed away in the last year, and therefore the people would be saying Kaddish for them, as well as the Yortzites for today, and I'll do a memorial prayer later on when I have the list in front of me. I want to share with you two brief thoughts that made a tremendous impression on me. You know, COVID and the pandemic, and I know many of those listening can relate to this, has wreaked havoc in so many different ways. I think we are only now becoming aware of some of the repercussions and fallout from it. One of the areas that's been most affected, I would say, as a community, is when it comes to a bereavement. Normally, when it comes to a bereavement, then you are able to rally around, to be able to support physically, emotionally, psychologically, the individual, the family that are going through their terrible ordeal of losing a loved one. And that helps with the bereavement process. COVID restrictions have meant that we have not been able to be there in the same way for those that we love, for those that are in mourning, for those that are in a state of angst and going through so much. And I was wondering, is there something in the Torah that shows us any type of consolation? And I found it in this week's Torah portion. One of the things that we've all recognized as a result of the restrictions, and even today I have the Levaya for Alan Kite, and a dear friend to us and to the community and to me, and we all recognize that we're not able to have the same numbers of people that we would like at a Levaya. Even today, at a Shiva, we can't even do a Shiva with a minyan indoors. And therefore, the numbers that we have supporting us are limited. One of the ideas of many people going to a Levaya, going to a funeral, is that it shows you're going to show respect. If a large number come to attend a Levaya, a funeral, they drop what they're doing and they come to hear eulogies and to escort the person to their final resting place in this world, that speaks volumes about the impression, the impact that has been felt in the world, and the void that we all feel of the loss. If everyone carries on business as normal, then obviously that person didn't leave much of a contribution in this world. So it's telling that in this week's parasha, we learn about the passing of Aaron. Now, you know, we have to think about it. How many people would we expect to attend Aaron's funeral? Huh? Caroline, how many people do you think would attend? How many people do you think would attend Miriam's funeral? Right? So at the time of Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach's Levaya, there was 180,000 people in Jerusalem that came. At the time of Rav Ovadia Yosef's funeral, I believe it was several hundred thousand. Several hundred thousand attended. Okay? And, you know, Lubavitcher Rebbe, when he passed away, hundreds of thousands. Okay, the list goes on and on. So we would expect our greatest of leaders, we would expect the whole Jewish people to be present. Who could not attend the Levaya of the high priest? Who would not attend the Levaya of Moses? And yet we find in each instance Miriam, Aaron, and Moshe that they died almost alone. Aaron went up to Hor HaHar. He went up the mountain. Moshe went with Elazar, the son of Aaron, who would be his successor, who would take over the mantle of leadership. Only two people were present for the Levaya of Aaron, Moshe and Elazar. And what's interesting is the way that Aaron passed away was the way that Moshe wanted to pass away, and he requested to pass away with Misa Nashika, the kiss of death. But also it may be that in the same way that it was a very intimate setting without loads of people. When Moshe passed away, he went up the mountain and that was it. There were no hundreds of thousands and millions of people. There could have been, but there weren't. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? So there are a couple of reasons that are suggested. One possible reason is that it's only possible to eulogize and to be able to truly be present if you have a deep appreciation of that person. And therefore, at first glance, we could suggest that, no individuals, Lo kam navi od b'Yisrael, there never was another prophet like Moses. There never was another high priest like Aaron. There was no one comparable like Miriam in her dedication to her family and to the Jewish people. And therefore, they were in a league of their own that transcended anything known to the Jewish people. And therefore, it would take someone of that caliber, of that ilk, to appreciate them thoroughly. And perhaps that's why it wasn't appropriate, it wasn't necessary for anyone else to be there. But it could be that there's a deeper reason, and I saw this quoted in the name of Rav Scheinbaum. He suggests as follows, that when we have suffered in Jewish history, many times that people have died al Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying God's name. One of the most upsetting aspects, and I speak of somebody who's been many times to Auschwitz, but to Treblinka, to Birkenau, to Riesenstadt, to all the concentration, Buchenwald, all the concentration camps that we know and that we visited. One of the most upsetting things is when you go there, there is a sense of absolute nothingness. You stand in a gas chamber or next to a gas chamber where hundreds of thousands, in some cases it could be 1 million people, that were gassed to death, and there's not a shred of evidence of that person. There's no remains. There's no grave. They never had a proper funeral. And I think that that is one of the reasons why it was that Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam died alone. Because who buried Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam? We're told that God buried them. God was the one that buried them. Mm-hmm. And if the greatest of our leaders were buried by God, then that is a message of consolation across the millennia for all the Jewish people. That so at times it's not right or it's not fitting for the Jewish people to be able to bury their loved ones. Sometimes we can't, right? At the time of Nazi persecution, we can't. But they're never alone. God is there and will bury them. And I think the fact that it was good enough for Moshe, for Aaron and Miriam is a source of consolation for all those that have made the ultimate sacrifice, dying al Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying God's name in this world, to know they died and were buried in the same way as a Moses, as an Aaron, and a Miriam. Now, I want to go back to something that we said yesterday very briefly, something a bit more upbeat. We spoke about the idea of priorities in life. We spoke about the fact that when Gad and Reuven wanted to stay on the other side of the Jordan and not settle in the land of Israel with everyone else, they were reprimanded by Moses. They were reprimanded for the fact that they had their priorities wrong. They wanted to settle their livestock, their chattels, their property, their possessions, and then afterwards take care of their kids. And Moshe told them in a very subtle way, your priorities are wrong, are skewed. You need to first take care always of your family, your kids, family first, and afterwards then worry about the Mercedes and worry about the house and the holiday home and everything else. I think there is another thing, and that is that the relationship that we build very much determines how close we feel with our family, what are our priorities. And very often it's more what we do than what we say. And if kids feel that we are their priority by what we do rather than what we say, then they are going to want to be close. They are going to put us as a priority. And you see it time and again. I don't need to tell you, there are some families that have close relationships, strong bonds with their children, with their grandchildren. And there are others that, you know, they chose different priorities in life. And the different priorities in life could be, you know, having, you know, building up a business and other things. And then they may say to themselves, you know what, I'm doing this all for you. I'm working day and night by the sweat of my brow, and I'm working to the early hours of the morning in order to provide for the very best for you. But if they actually stopped and they actually asked their wives, husbands, children, grandchildren, you know, what do you want? Me to work another 3 or 4 hours a day, right? Working hundreds of hours every week? Or would you prefer that I worked a bit less, but we had more quality time, more love, more affection, more joy in life? I think hands down, the second option would be the one that everyone would take. Sometimes less is more. Do we actually need to work those longer hours? Are we doing it really for everyone else? Or are we really doing it for ourselves? Is it a form of escapism? These are questions that I have, and we all have. And I'll tell you why I have them, because you may say, well, you know, you're not, you're working for the community, for the shul. So that is also, whenever you're involved in anything, what I want to show you is it doesn't matter whether it's your own business or you're working for someone else, however laudable the cause is. It could be working for a charity, it could be working for a synagogue. You always have to ask the question, where do I draw the line? The work is endless, the demands are countless, but there comes a point where you have to say that I need to also be there for my family. I remember on one occasion, it was somebody made a request, and it was to be at another event. I think it was on a Sunday afternoon. And I said to them, with tongue in cheek, I'm afraid there's a wife left alone with 6 kids, and no one to look after them, and they're very much in need of my assistance. And the man said to me, oh, of course, Rabbi, that's terrible. Left on a Sunday, all on their own, no support. Of course you have to go around. Do I know them? I said, yes, it's my wife and my kids. So we always have to have our priorities straight. Sometimes we're so quick and enthusiastic to help everyone else and to be their superhero, to fly in and to help everyone else. But also we have to look at our nearest and dearest and make sure we have those close relationships and bonds, because they grow up so fast, and be it with children or with grandchildren. I was privileged to have a very close relationship with one of my grandfathers, and I don't think there's a day that I don't think of him and all my grandparents, but him in particular. And that's something that you can't buy. It's something that you can't buy. It's not just a cliche. It's something that's very real. So we wish everyone well. Have a good day. Keep safe. Keep well. Many have asked me for a prediction for tonight. I think that it's going to be exceptionally close, the game tonight, but I am predicting a win for England. We look forward. It's coming home, as they say. The question is, what is coming home? What is coming home? I would like to suggest humbly to each and every one of you, you know what's coming home? We're coming home. We're coming back to the community. We're coming back to some normality in our lives. And please God, we're coming back together. Wishing you all well, missing you, and looking forward to seeing you without masks in the not too distant future in the community. In the meantime, have a great day, everyone. And I'll say the prayers later.